Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. And of course, I think of my favorite quote of the century by Oscar Wilde, which says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously, so lighten up, folks." So today's topic is, drumroll please, the monkeypox vaccine. Yes, so just when we thought we had seen it all with COVID. Then all of a sudden, Gay Pride Weekend, they're like, monkeypox, blah, blah, blah. And look, I went ahead and got it. And I know a lot of people that have. I know a lot of people that have not. I know that there are mixed feelings on it. So, but I also know that Gay Pride Weekend, a couple of my friends, people that I know personally, like went out, carried on, did whatever, and then ended up getting it, and it was painful, blisters everywhere, and it wasn't going to kill them, but I'd rather not get that. So, of course, initially it was impossible to get an appointment, but I did manage to get the first one on July 28th. And back then, how they were doing it was they would inject you in the back of your arm. And I guess the difference is that back then it wasn't like the live virus or culture, was like a mRNA, I guess it's called. And so I didn't have any real reaction to it. Now, I will say that for myself, anytime I've gotten any kind of vaccine, or even when I get the flu shot every year, I'm a delicate flower, as it were. And I tend to be a little susceptible to having slight side effects, not anything major, but so when I got that first one, it wasn't even so much that I felt terrible, but I did feel a little tired and slightly off. I always say anytime I get a vaccine, I feel like a foreign substance has been injected in me, and it ain't a hot Italian, I can tell you that right now. So, but that first time around, of course, there's always pain or discomfort at the injection site. Now, I know some people that actually ended up getting a lump. And I think maybe I got a little one, but it pretty much went away within a matter of days. Now, I know a dear friend of mine, Ava. Hey, Ava. I know she was saying that when she got it, she had it a couple of weeks later, it was still a little marble there. So I guess people react differently to it. So very much like the COVID shot, they were saying that 28 days later, 4 weeks later, you get the second one. But because there was such a shortage of it, it was don't contact us, we'll contact you, as opposed to the COVID shot. When I got that vaccine, when you left at the end of your 15 minutes, they make sure that you're fine, then you would leave with your second appointment. So you knew exactly, 28 days later, you were getting the second shot. They couldn't do that with this. So I did subsequently get the second shot. I just got it on 2 weeks, a week ago, exactly a week ago Monday. Today is Monday, September 26th, as I'm filming this. I got it Monday, September 19th. But now how they're doing it is now they're actually giving you the virus. So they're doing it old school, how they used to do the TB shots, where they put it literally under your skin. And then it kind of bubbles up, because what they're injecting you with is actually there, so you visibly see it. It's not the prettiest thing to look at, I'm gonna tell you that right now. And I asked a lot of questions, and the nurse was telling me, he was like, oh, you should be fine. And I know 4 or 5 of my friends who got it the same week, that a week before I did. And I just don't like needles anyway. So when he put the needle in me, as opposed to the other shot where, it's 2 seconds later, it was done and over with. This, it was in there for a good 5-6 seconds. It felt like an eternity. And the whole time, it's a little painful. I even remember my toes curling up in my sneakers. And I was like, oh. And I'm thinking to myself, hurry up and get this shit out of me. And he finally did. And, 5 seconds later, when he removed it, then I felt fine. But immediately, you saw this little, you saw the little blister. But it was okay. And I remember that first I was like, oh, I feel fine, till the next day. Because you know how they say it's you could get a vaccine and then the following day is when you might start feeling whatever. So it wasn't that I felt all that terrible, but it did kind of have me a little tired. And more than anything, with how they're doing it now, is it itches. And they say, like, for the first 24 hours, do not touch it. Even if it itches, like, try not to touch it, and, don't put any pressure on it. They say you could wet it, but, like, if you shower, like, don't put any soap on it, don't put any creams, don't do anything. I waited a couple of days because I'm also of the school of thought, anytime I get a vaccine, because I know how I can respond to it, I make it a point that when I get anything like this done, I want to make sure that I have nothing planned for the following days to follow, because I just in case, and I figure let me just like stay home, lay in bed, heal, as opposed to, like, trying to run around town. So I did that. But then the next day, yeah, it was like itching. It was a little uncomfortable. It was a little sore. And then I think what happened with me was I was so aware of, like, not wanting to touch it, that I was, like, so aware of my arm, and I almost didn't even want to, like, move it too much. But then my arm was, like, starting to stiffen up. And then sleeping was a nightmare because I would, I was so aware of, like, not wanting to touch it, that it was, and I tend to, like, sleep on my side and hug my pillow, but I didn't want anything touching it. So those first few nights, it was like, it took me forever to fall asleep, and then I'd wake up a couple of hours later, then it'd take me a little while longer to fall asleep. But, if that's the worst of it, I'm okay. So I never really felt like where I was like, oh my God, I'm sick, I'm feeling anything like that. I think it was probably more bothersome than anything else. And yeah, like the itching and all of that. And then the other thing is, as you see it, like, it gets worse before it gets better. So then suddenly, I still have, I'm gonna show you, I don't know if you could see, but like now it just looks like a mosquito bite. But like initially, like a couple of days at, like, the next day, like Tuesday, I was like, oh, that don't look so cute. And then Wednesday, I was like, that looks horrifying. Because like the area around it, the size probably of like a silver dollar, was like a little inflamed, and it was red. And it just, apart from the fact that it looked ugly, it just was not comfortable. But then I would say that was Wednesday, Thursday. By the weekend, suddenly, like, yesterday I was like, oh, okay, the itching went away. And like, now like the swelling is completely gone, and now it just looks like a little mosquito bite. So I'm still being very, like, aware of, like, not using it too much, but I'm a lot more relaxed about it. And, look, I know that's what makes me the unique individual that I am. And I probably went to an extreme with it, where I was being, like, too ultra careful, but that's who I am. So, okay, so moral of the story is, if you're gonna get it, it's not terrible. I know there are people that won't get it. Even one of my dear friends, he was like, oh, it's gonna come and go, and so he's sort of like thinking that it's like not a big deal. And then other people, oh, I got the smallpox vaccine. Yes, but this might be in the same family, but it's a totally different thing. I don't judge anyone if they don't want to get it, and no one should judge me because I did get it. For myself, I just kind of figured I want to be safe and protect myself and protect others. So anyway, but it's not terrible. And now even if you are getting the first shot, that's just how they're doing it. They're not doing it the other way anymore, which is fine. And then they say 2 weeks after you get the shot is when you're fully protected. So I got 1 more week to go, but I'm here, I'm alive. As you guys know from my last video, I was just in Spain. I got back exactly 2 weeks ago. So these last 2 weeks that I've been back in town have been a little hard, because that first week, the jet lag killed me. That 6-hour time difference, it took me like a week to like get back on track. Like I kept falling asleep like 8, 9 o'clock every night and waking up at like 3, 4 in the morning. I'd get my 8-hour sleep, but when you're waking up at 4 in the morning, it was horrifying. So it had me very like, oh, I'm exhausted. And then finally, like that Sunday, I was feeling good and like got my hair cut, and then suddenly Monday this happened. So now here it is, a week later Monday. I've been back in town 2 weeks, and I finally feel human. I finally feel alive, and I'm like, okay, I could go in front of my camera and shoot a video. So anyway, those of you who have gotten it, tell me your experience. Did you have any kind of reaction to it, or was it just like, where you were swollen or itchy, or maybe if you had the first one done the old school way where they actually injected it in your arm, did you have any reaction to that? Leave your comments, let me know. And those of you who aren't going to get it, that's fine too. You want to leave a comment too, by all means. Let me know why you think you're not going to get it. So, okay guys, as always, thank you so much for being here with me. I am happy to be back in New York City and glad to be back with you guys. So, and I will catch you the next time. Alrighty, love you.